Warriors, today is March 8th, 2023, and I want to tell you what today means, not only in the United States, but actually around 29 other countries in the world. Today is International Women's Day. Now, what does this mean? March in the United States is designated as Women's National History Month, along with the UK and Australia. But today, we come together with 29 other countries to celebrate this day. Let me tell you what I'm concerned about. Women's history, to be applauded, to be recognized, to be observed, to be studied. But what will our history be in the future, girls and women? I'm much too afraid of what's going on today in society that we are not putting our focus on education. We're not putting our focus on science and mathematics, on self-fulfillment, on self-confidence, on all of that. You could call it STEAM if you like. Remember that? It was called STEM. I call it STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, because arts, we know from all the studies, that creativity leads to one doing better in all other areas of their lives. So I'm overly concerned and thought I'd jump on to just share with you a couple of thoughts of what we need to do. We need, as a society, to come together and to engage, empower, and educate not only ourselves, but our girls, our teens, and our young women. We need to mentor. We need to start some sort of national mentoring program. Now, I know there's lots of programs around the country, lots of things going on, lots of talk going on, but I can't help on a day like today when I see lots of sharing, go women, and it's Women's Day, and we're applauded for being women, and women's history. I bet you if I walked into Times Square, I live in New York City right now, and said, who's Rosa Parks? Who's Abigail Adams? Who's Shirley Chisholm? Who's Rosie the Riveter? People would have no idea. So not only do we have to get back to learning about the history of women, that, our country's relatively young, really built this country. It only became recognized, this Women's Day, in 1978 by Jimmy Carter. It actually started, let me get the story straight. It actually started in 1978 in California, in Sonoma, because girls in a public school wanted to have a whole day devoted to women, to their arts, to their history. So they did all kinds of just days of devoting, a day of devoting to women. And that led to a parade in Santa Rosa. Fast forward, and then Jimmy Carter decided this is a great idea. It got a lot of media attention at the time. And that's when it came into focus as, let's all celebrate this. But if we really want to truly celebrate girls and women in history, what will this look like in a couple of decades from now? I can't even imagine what it'll look like in 1 decade from now with everything going on. How can we have women's empowerment, engagement, education, when as a society, as a culture, as a whole, is promoting things like OnlyFans, take off your clothes for $5, live your life online so you can get clicks and likes and that will validate you. Don't worry about going to school or having any sort of career, because you can go into the porn business. That's a way to make money these days. Really pushing that sex worker, a term we don't use at the Warriors, but is used in the media, is used in politics, is used all around us. So we have become habituated to everything that is happening around us. We can't lose sight of our girls, our teens, our future adult women, our leaders. So it's a little bit, hypocrisy today with everything going on, because how can you be in support of something like the Me Too movement and women's empowerment when in society there is this push, for instance, for one of the biggest issues nobody's really talking about, the full decriminalization of the sex trade. I think we can all agree that people prostituted should be given an opportunity to leave that life and be given hope and help to start a clean, fresh life and get on their feet. Now, when I say that, and some of you out there poo-poo me, attack me, they choose it, it's their body, it's empowerment, that's a very small percentage. We know from the vast studies that have been done. We know from the survivors, the victims that we work with and others work with, they don't really choose to be in this life. It is a form of human trafficking. They have been coerced, forced into this. There are varying studies. Remember, with dark kind of crimes, studies bounce all over, but you can go anywhere from 90 up to 97%. And people in the prostitution, in the sex trade, will say they don't want to be there. Now, think about that. And think about our vulnerable communities. Think about our girls and women of color. Why, for instance, the Black community making up a little over 13% of the American population, yet in the sex trade, they make up over 40% of the victims. Yes, I call them victims. So how can people be pushing all these legislators? I'm right here in New York, and our top two legislators up in our state capital, Albany, are pushing for the full decrim of the sex trade, which simply means it's the Wild West, which simply means, sure, we want the people taken out of prostitution to help them. At the same time, you hear that part, you don't hear about pimps, traffickers, sex buyers, brothel owners, illicit spa owners, also being decriminalized and getting a free pat on the back. So warriors, we have a lot to do, a lot coming together. It is Women's International, Day of Women. It is March. It is Women's National History Month. We need to focus on the good. We need to share it with each other and our girls out there and our young women, and we need to remain empowered. Don't give up. This is a fight every day. All of us have to be in. We can no longer do it alone. It's up to each and every one of you. Join me, lynswarriors.org. Be a warrior.